Everybody, my name is Jamel Boukabou. I'm a two-star executive with Youngevity International. This is week number 31 with the world-renowned Dr. Joel Wallach, who has been gracious to give us his time. He's going to do a lecture and then a Q&A. Please remain muted until the Q&A. If you do have a question for Dr. Wallach, please follow the steps in the chat box on your laptop or iPad or iPhone or whatever device you have. And when we get to Q&A, this will be a time for you to ask Dr. Wallach a question yourself. If you want to get Dr. Wallach's books, go to drjwallach.com, drjwallach.com. If you are in Australia or New Zealand, you need to call the number on the website. If you're in USA or Canada, you can order from the website directly. I am not a healthcare professional. I am a two-star executive with Youngevity. Please contact the person that referred this video to you if you find this information interesting in becoming a customer or a distributor like myself. The corporate number for New Zealand, which services Australia and New Zealand, is 1-800-756-467. The corporate number for the USA is 1-800-982-3189. Youngevity is a direct selling company, so everybody has a distributor and you can get your information from those numbers. Dr. Wallach has been speaking around the world for years and years and years, and one of the positives from this COVID thing is that we can actually talk to Dr. Wallach ourselves with these Zoom calls. Dr. Wallach is a keynote speaker at the UN. He recently spoke at a Tesla event. He's got a book in the Smithsonian. I can go on and on, nominated for a Nobel Prize in medicine. And without any further delay, Dr. Joel Wallach, thank you and welcome back to the call.
Well, thank you so much, Jamel, and thank you for your entire team, all the wonderful things you do for the world, as well as Australia, New Zealand. Okay, so we appreciate that. Things are going a little weird. Now, I don't know all the details of what's going on in Australia. I do know a little bit. I tried looking up the current numbers in Australia of the coronavirus, and I got 29,240 infections and 909 dead. I've had that 909 dead for a couple of weeks, so I don't know if you're not having any people dying from it, but you're getting some infections, but people aren't dying from it. Is that what's going on?
That's what it seems to be like, Dr. Wallach, yes.
Okay, well, good. You're doing something correctly. Okay, and New Zealand, with about 1/5 the population you have 25.6 million. They have 4.9 million, almost 5 million, New Zealand, and they have 244,000 infections and, 2,444 infections, not 200, 2,444 infections and 26 dead. Now, you look at the US with 332 million people. As of today, we have 30,848,334 infections and 561,000 dead. Okay. Now, today we had, for the United States alone, we had 76,581 new cases. 76,581 new cases. Yesterday, in a 24-hour period, we had 110,000 new cases. Okay. Europe is shutting down. You know that. I'm sure you're getting it in the emails, news. Italy, the UK, Germany, France, they're all shutting down, tightening up. And the thing that's going on here is that everybody kind of believes in the vaccination thing. The vaccination is going to heal everything. I've been vaccinated. I'm good to go. Well, there's 3 things that have to happen if the vaccination is going to work. Number 1, you have to be able to absorb nutrients. So you can't be eating gluten, no gluten, because gluten kills those villi in your intestines. So you're inefficient in absorbing nutrients. That's why a 3-year-old, when they get the coronavirus, they have common cold-like symptoms for 3 or 4 or 5 days, and they get the antibodies against the coronavirus, are good to go for the rest of their life. When a 23-year-old, a 33-year-old, a 43-year-old, 53-year-old, 60-year-old, 73-year-old get it, their villi are dead, and their intestines are like a smooth plastic tube. They've lost 98% of their absorptive surface because those villi are gone. Their intestines don't look like a shag rug anymore. They look like a plastic tube. And so they can't get the nutrition in. Well, the nutrition then has to go to the bone marrow. The bone marrow has to be good to go. If you have bone marrow dysplasia, which means all the working cells in the bone marrow have turned into connective tissue and fat and it's useless. Well, you know people who have to go to the doctor once a month for an iron or B12 shot, and they say, well, why did he do that? I said, well, I was anemic and had low platelets. So he wrote me a prescription to get some iron pills and B12 pills. I took them for 3 months and I came back and I was worse. So he said, you got to get shots. And so he gave me the shots and everything began to come up. That's because they were bypassing the intestine, which couldn't absorb the iron and the B12 because the intestine was dead. Well, then the bone marrow cannot make antibodies to go kill the virus. The bone marrow cannot make white blood cells to go kill the virus. And so the next thing they say, you know, this giving you an injection every month, we do have an option. I can give you every 2 months. So you just have to come here 6 times a year instead of 12 times a year. And I can give you a transfusion. You'll be getting the red blood cells and platelets from somebody else. And you try it for 2 or 3 times and say, I'm sick for a month, you know, after you do that. So I'm not gonna do that anymore. Okay, we got to give you a bone marrow transplant. Don't worry, insurance will pay for it. It's only $100,000, but insurance will pay for it. And then of course you get the coronavirus in the hospital and you die. And so to avoid all that stuff, you have to get off of gluten. And this is why the Asians do much better than the Europeans, people with European background. We've gone over this many times. The Asians do much better because there is no gluten in rice and beans and squash and corn and seaweed. And so if you eat like an Asian, you will preserve yourself. And this is one of the reasons why Australia does so well. You have so many indigenous peoples who live on maize, AKA corn, rice, sweet potatoes, beans, and squash and seaweed. And the same way with New Zealand, that you're getting a mixed thing. Let's look at your population, almost 26 million versus our Texas, famous Texas, you know, they have, let's see here, Texas has about 27 million people in the state, almost the same population. Again, you in Australia have 29,000 infections and 900 dead. Texas has 48,000 dead and 2.8 million infections. Huge difference, yet the same population. What's the difference? Well, the people in Texas are, depending on the county in Texas, 40, 50, 60% Latinos, Black, and indigenous peoples, the Indian tribes. And this is not a racial thing. This is a cultural thing and a dietary thing. They live on nothing but wheat, barley, rye, and oats, where your indigenous peoples eat more like Asians. Okay, and so that's why you guys are getting off good. Now, the Philippines have 100 million people, and they have sort of a mix, okay, and of course, because of us being in the Pacific during the Second World War, Australia, New Zealand, the Philippines, and many of the other island nations were impacted by us. And so with 100 million people, the Philippines have 656,000 infections and 12,000 dead, almost 13,000 dead, because they eat like Europeans and Americans. They have a lot of McDonald's and Steak and Shake and that kind of stuff, and Waffle House and so on, and Domino's Pizza. I eat pizza 3 nights a week, Jamal, but it's with a cauliflower crust. It's a gluten-free crust. And so it has 4 cheeses, got like, I don't know, 6 or 8 vegetables on it. I put sliced salmon on it, tuna fish. I put hamburger on it, lamb chops on top of the pizza, and I'm good to go. My grandkids love it because they don't have to give up pizza with me. Okay, but they get the cauliflower crust and they don't seem to care. They eat it anyway. So again, when you look at these differences in the populations, you look at Hong Kong, which is not too far away from you guys. They have 7.5 million people versus our state of Arizona, 7.5 million people, very close population. And the Hong Kong, this is a couple of days old information about from Wednesday. They have 11,429 infections and 200 dead. Arizona, with the same population, has 16,000, almost 17,000 dead, and 838,000 infections. Huge difference. Well, what's the difference? Well, Arizona, like Texas, depending on the county, 40, 50, 60% are Latinos, Blacks, and indigenous peoples, the Indian tribes. And it's not a racial thing. This is a cultural thing because those are the groups of people who live on wheat, barley, rye, and oats. And so every time you see a community like England, or the UK, which is what, England, or the northern part of Ireland, Scotland, and Wales, they have 67 million people, almost 68 million people. They have 4.3 million infections and 126,000 dead. Okay. Thailand, with the same population, 67 million people, they have 28,000 infections and 92 dead. Well, what's the difference? Well, Thailand lives like the Asians. They live on rice and sweet potatoes and corn and beans and squash and seaweed. And of course, England is the gluten country. They're the ones that took wheat around the world so their sailors could have, you know, English bread and English beer and all that kind of stuff. Then you look at Italy, they have 60 million people. They have just short of what UK has. They have 3.4 million infections, 106,000 dead. Germany has 83 million people. And I'm going to say an Asian country after Germany. They have 2.7 million infections and 75,000 dead. And then you look at Vietnam, which 96 million people, almost the same amount as the Philippines, and certainly more, 30% more than the UK and Italy and almost 10 million more than Germany. Vietnam has 35 dead, not 3,500 or 35,000, it's 35, and they have 2,500 infections. Well, what's the difference? Well, Vietnam didn't go west, okay, after the Second World War, after the Korean War, after the Vietnamese War. Vietnam stayed Asian, and they live on nothing but maize, rice, beans, sweet potatoes, corn, seaweed, and that's why they have such low figures. And so this is something you have to look at. And I'm a pathologist, and I look at, I do things where, for instance, Dr. Wallach and I, we did 1,700 autopsies on kids under the age of 10 in China, okay, to find out something about one nutrient. Because in that one state in China, one province in China, whatever they call it, Heilongjiang province and Kishan University, thousands of these kids die every year under the age of 10 from what they call Kishan disease, named after the university, from a hypertrophic cardiomyopathy heart attack, a sudden heart attack. And this is the same deficiency that causes cystic fibrosis. It's supposed to be a genetic disease in kids. It's not, it's just a simple nutritional deficiency. It's supposed to be the cause of muscular dystrophy. You're old enough to remember the telethon and Jerry Lewis raising money to find the cure. Well, after that study, we gave Jerry Lewis, after Marvin Rupp, a U.S. Marine, he and I worked in the Amish community to heal, I don't know, dozens and dozens and dozens of kids with muscular dystrophy. The oldest one was 31. He'd had it since he was born, and we were able to reverse it in him. We gave those charts to Jerry Lewis. He was so excited. He called many of these doctors, confirmed that the doctors said, no, they had it and they don't have it anymore. I don't know why, but they don't have it anymore. So he took all this to the Muscular Dystrophy Association in 2011. They fired Jerry Lewis. That's what happened to him. Everybody, where'd Jerry Lewis go? Well, they fired him because he brought them the cure. They couldn't justify the telethon anymore. Okay, to raise money to find the cure because he brought them the cure. And then sudden death syndrome, which in the United States would kill 10, 15 years ago, would kill one baby per 300 normal births. Now, because we put that nutrient into the baby formulas, it only kills 1 per 3,000. Now, if everybody would be giving their baby breast milk and taking the 90 cents of nutrients, or giving that baby formula that nutrient in it, it'd be 0. But 1 per 3,000 is a lot better than 1 per 300. So we're very proud of all that. Okay, and so if people live like Asians, they will benefit because their immune system will be able to defend them from the coronavirus. Now, the next one we got to talk about, which I think we started talking about them last Friday, was India. Now, they're very homogenous people, and they have 29 states and 7 territories. In the 1918 Asian flu, they lost 20 million people in 6 months, dead. They had 110 million infections in 6 months. They were damming up the rivers by bodies. They couldn't bury them fast enough, so they're just throwing bodies into the rivers, and they would stack up like logs in the river and block up the rivers in India. Well, at that time in 1918, 95% of the deaths from the Spanish flu were in the 9 northern states, and 5% were in the southern 20 states and 7 territories. 85% of the infections were in the 9 northern states, and 14% of the infections were in the southern states and the 7 territories. So what was the difference? There's hundreds of people. Well, the difference is in the 9 northern states in India, they live on nothing but wheat, barley, and rhinos. So they live in the mountains and the hills, and they couldn't grow rice and squash and things like that. But in the south, they could, and in the territories, they could. So it was a dietary thing. And of course, along with that, my second favorite is Nigeria and Brazil. They both have about 208 million people. And Nigeria is 90. I looked it up. I spent a lot of time on the World Health Organization and so forth. And I looked at Nigeria, and they're 98% Black tribal people. Okay. Then I looked at Brazil, and they're 47% white Europeans, 47% mulattoes, mixed race, and 6% Black, and the rest were Asians. Well, now Nigeria, which is almost 100% Black tribal people, have 2,000 infections and 162,000 infections and 2,000 dead. Whereas in Brazil, the same population, they have 300,000 dead, and 12.2 million infections. So what's the difference? There's a huge difference in dead and infections, yet they have the same population. Well, the demographics are quite different, and the Black people, which is a genetic thing, should be worse off than because they have the same population, they should be worse off than the Brazilians. So what's going on? Well, the Nigerian Black tribal people live on maize, corn, rice, sweet potatoes, beans, and squash, and seaweed, because they live on the west coast of Africa. Whereas the Brazilians, they live on everything they eat is wheat, barley, and oats. Okay, so they live like the Europeans, and that's why they have such a bad record. And the Nigerians eat like the Asians. That's why they have such a good record. So this is unimpeachable material. And of course, everybody was waiting for that vaccine. They knew it was going to work. And I said this, I don't know if you remember this, but a year and a half ago, I said it many times, that when people get the vaccination, don't be too excited, because there are going to be many, many people who are eating gluten are not going to have enough absorption of the nutrients for their bone marrow. Their bone marrow is dead to respond to the vaccine. Vaccines do not kill the virus. Vaccines just alert your body to the bad DNA and RNA. So when the virus appears, your body sends the white blood cells, the antibodies, to go kill and eat the virus. Well, if you're not getting the nutrition to the bone marrow, it can't make the white blood cells and antibodies. So it doesn't matter. You can be vaccinated 10 times a day and you're not going to have any reaction. Okay, you won't have any defenses. So if you want to get the benefit of the vaccination, you're going to have to give up gluten immediately. If you got your vaccination a month ago, you better get it again. Okay, get it again, and then get rid of the bad foods, fried foods, processed meats, oils, glutens, wheat, barley, oats, sugar. And people like me and people in the United States, we came up about 12 years ago with some seaweed and algae products. Okay, our Fucoid Z and our Ocean's Gold. It was primarily for the thyroid at that time, but also your bone marrow cells love the sea trace minerals. And so when you eat seaweed, that's why when all these Asian people are eating seaweed, which is very common amongst them, they're getting these trace minerals, which their bone marrow likes and is able to make more white blood cells and antibodies. So we came up with that, and I'm 82 years old, Jamel. I've been taking our Fucoid Z and our Ocean's Gold forever. We have a liquid form of the Fucoid Z. It's called Z Radical. Okay, on the weekends I use the liquid. During the week I use it. I'm traveling around. I use my capsules of the Fucoid Z. I also take the Ocean's Gold, 3 of each, twice a day. And the liquid, when I take it, I take an ounce twice a day, and plus all my 90 essential nutrients and so forth. Well, because of that, and I have not eaten gluten in 73 years. Haven't eaten gluten in 73 years. And so I don't even go to those places that their primary dishes are gluten, or their primary thing is their bread and their pancakes and their waffles or spaghetti. And I don't go to those places for that reason. I don't go to the Pizza Hut. Well, they do serve gluten-free pizza. Yes, but they cook the gluten-free pizza in the same oven with the other ones. and so they get cross-contaminated. So I don't even go there. I eat my cauliflower crust pizza at home. You can have flour crust pizza, potato flour pizza, and so on. And for breakfast every morning, I have, oh gosh, for at least 25 years, 3 scoops of wild rice, either steamed or boiled. You can't eat fried rice. Then I have 3 poached eggs with soft yolk. And then I have 2 slices, the size of a slice of bread, about 1/8 of an inch thick, of wild caught sockeye salmon from the rivers of Alaska. I have 2 4-ounce servings of yogurt, sugar-free and gluten-free. And then I take all my supplements. Okay. I've been doing that every day for like 25 years. And it seems to be doing okay for a 82-year-old guy. Okay. Most people think I'm in my 50s when they look at me and my energy levels and so forth. And of course, I played football. I wrestled, lettered at the University of Missouri in wrestling. They wouldn't let me play football. I did letter in high school and junior high school in wrestling and football, but they wouldn't let me play football in the university because they only weighed 110 pounds. I wrestled at 120 pounds, but I was strong enough because I'm throwing bales of hay. So I was able to beat the 120-pound guy, even though I was 10 pounds lighter. So I'm very active. I walk 2 miles a day. I do 20 push-ups every day, and not bad again. And I don't have any pre-existing conditions. I don't have blood pressure, diabetes, arthritis. I don't have any of that stuff. I don't have kidney failure. I don't have lupus. I don't have fibromyalgia. I don't have rheumatoid arthritis. I don't have any bowel problems. I don't have any skin problems. And, again, my skin, looks like a 50-year-old skin. And I go outside in the sun for a half hour or an hour every day, about noon. And so I can get some sun, so I'm not going to be paled as a sheet. And this is my practice. And so this is very simple. If people do these things and share this with their families, and of course, our 90 essential nutrients really have more than that, because when you look at the contents of the BTT 2.0, our capsules, they have 215 nutrients in there, which include the 90, but 115 other nutrients, which come from vegetables and seaweed, like our Fucoid Z and our Ocean's Gold. That comes from vegetables and fruit and that kind of stuff. And we're trying to be kind of like the Garden of Eden, because there was no wheat, barley, rye, oats in the Garden of Eden. If you read the story of the Garden of Eden didn't have any farms or anything like that in it. In the messages from God, okay, in the Old Testament, it said, eat the seeds of the wild plants, eat the fruit from the trees that have no seeds, okay, and that was it. And so I found that very, very good, because they did not have wheat, barley, rye, or oats in the Garden of Eden. Well, there's a clue.
Yep.
Okay, and I know it's a little soon, but I'm going to pass this back to you. And thank you so much for letting me share this information with people. If even a small percentage of people begin to do what I'm saying and eat like an Asian, take the 90 essential nutrients, stay away from the bad foods, we can end this pandemic in 90 days. But if they just keep depending on the vaccination, everybody goes back to eating all the bad stuff, it's going to get worse and it's going to spike again.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wallach. My apologies if there is some background noise my end. It just started then, but I am going to go to Q&A. Don't forget to put your questions in the chat box there, and these will be uploaded to the New Zealand Facebook page in a few days. The official corporate page for Facebook for New Zealand. All the recorded calls are on that. I've got a question. Put your questions in the chat box. We're going to get to Amy very shortly. First question is from Nicole. She's 26, 100 pounds, 5'3". She gets dizzy when standing up after sitting down for periods of time, and she gets tired after eating. And she's only just started the Healthy Start Pack as well, Dr. Wallach, and off the bad foods. What should she be doing?
Okay, well, she has at least one problem. You know people, okay, like Nicole, who they'll eat a meal, breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and they'll go sit down on the couch, and then 30 minutes later, they're snoring, they're falling asleep. These are the people that fall asleep when they're driving after they eat a big meal, and they cross the center line and kill somebody, hit them head on, okay? They test them, test the body, no drugs. What happened? I don't know. Who knows? They must have been distracted. No, they went to sleep because they had what's called reactive hypoglycemia. In the old days, hundreds of years ago, in the old sailing days, they used to call that narcolepsy. You ever heard of the term narcolepsy? Well, that's what that was, is reactive hypoglycemia. It's a deficiency of two minerals. And being dizzy could be that low blood sugar, okay? But it could also be osteoporosis of the skull, squeezing the vestibular branch of the eighth cranial nerve. And so Nicole needs to get off all the bad foods, no fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat bran granules, no sugar. And then I want her to have one healthy brain and heart pack per month. I want her to get another bottle of our selenium because it has those 5 cofactors in it. So there's 1 bottle of selenium in the healthy brain and heart pack. I want her to take 3 twice a day of those, and a half a dose for everything else in that pack twice a day. I also want her to get 2 bottles a month of our sweeties. So you can take 3 of those twice a day. And that's going to help her out very quickly. And then also, there's other questions I'd want to know about. If she gets ringing in her ears or that kind of stuff, is she losing any sight, that kind of thing. But at the very least, that's what she should do. But it wouldn't hurt also for her to take anti-inflammatory, okay, the Fucoid Z or the Ocean's Gold, which has, 8 or 9 of these algae and seaweeds from the ocean and stuff. She could take 3 of those twice a day. Either one, she didn't have to take both, either one or the other. I take both, and I weigh 142, but I take both the Ocean's Gold and the Fucoid Z, and just because I have to pay for them, I don't get them for free. I have to pay for everything. I set it up that way so people say, "Oh yeah, Wallach, you say all this stuff, but you get a paycheck based on your sales." No, I don't get a check from the company. I get no payment from the company. I get no paycheck, and I don't. They have never given me. In the 50 years we've had the company, they've never even given me a turkey for Thanksgiving or a bottle of wine for Christmas. They've given me nothing.
Well, and that's right. Dr. Wallach does use when you buy a book or a CD from drjwallach.com, that money goes to Dr. Wallach has successfully challenged the FDA, and that's for the rights of the whole industry.
12 times. 12 beat him all 12 times.
With his own money. And the whole industry benefits from that. We all benefit from that. So our job, or my job as a distributor, is to get that information out to people. And I'm not the doctor, but this is what these calls are for. I said to Dr. Wallach, I will do these calls as long as they go for. So this is a chance for you to bring you and your friends, associates on the call and ask a question to Dr. Wallach yourself. And then these calls are recorded and you can share that. Now, Dr. Wallach, when he gives a protocol, there's no need to ask him to repeat that because these calls are recorded. And what myself and my team do is put the minutes in at the bottom there. Then we upload that to the official New Zealand Facebook page. If you're not a member of that, just add a link there. If you're not on Facebook, ask your upline to download that and share that with you, because then you have a recording of Dr. Wallach giving that exact protocol. So you are all welcome to do that. We are going to go to Amy right now. Amy, let us know where you are, where you're at the moment, and go ahead. Welcome.
Okay, thank you, Jamel. Blessings, Dr. Wallach, and blessings to everyone
here
tonight.
Hi,
Amy. Tonight, I am speaking on behalf of Maria Olivares, who's on the call tonight, also known as Lolis on our team. She is a 5-star and has done extraordinary things in the company. She's a beautiful soul and has helped transform so many lives. But unfortunately, last year, her tumor in the pituitary gland returned. She had gotten it removed before in 2005, but in 2020, it came back again, which has been producing high volumes of cortisol, which in turn has given her Cushing syndrome and has developed endless amount of symptoms. She is taking medication for high blood pressure right now. She is 52 years old, 162 pounds, and she's 5'3".
Okay. Well, there's several things going on here. Okay. It's not just one. She has several things going on. And do you know if she has any skin issues, any eczema or dermatitis or psoriasis or rosacea?
¿Tienes problemas de la piel, Lolis? She hadn't mentioned any of that. It's mostly
Okay.
just body deformity.
Okay, and the high blood pressure. Okay,
Mhm.
now, so yeah, it's kind of like if you have numbness in your finger because you got something going on in your neck and your doctor cuts your finger off.
Yeah.
You don't have the problem anymore, but that wasn't the problem. It was the
Right.
problem in your neck causing the problem in the finger. So that's what's going on here when they removed her pituitary and it came back. Okay, so she needs to get off all the bad foods, no fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat granules, no sugar. I want her to eat 3 eggs twice a day with soft yolks. They can be soft boiled, soft poached. I eat 3 twice a day with soft yolks. They can be soft scrambled in butter. They cannot be fried because fried eggs cause cancer, and they cannot be hard boiled because then she just gets the protein. She doesn't get all the other nutrients that are important for her brain. Her brain is 75% cholesterol. All the white matter in the brain is cholesterol. She's got to have those 3 eggs twice a day to maintain her brain. Then at 162 pounds, I wanted to have 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month. 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month. Okay. Then I wanted her to have 2 bottles a month of our MSM, so I can take 3 of those with each meal. MSM, that's going to help rebuild her skull, take the pressure off of that part of the brain where the pituitary is. I also want her to have vitamin D3, take 3 of those twice a day. That's 2 bottles a month, so she can absorb the minerals and put them in her skull and her bones and her legs and arms and so forth. I want her to get our Ultimate Daily Classic tablets, 3 of those twice a day, and that will support healthy blood pressure and also support healthy blood flow to the blocked arteries. And then here comes a couple of really crazy things. I want her also to get our HGH. Okay. HGH is our human growth hormone. It actually is the raw materials to make the pituitary work better. I want her to take 3 of those twice a day. I take 3 of those twice a day just because, okay? That's why they think I'm 45 and 50 years old, because I've been taking the HGH for 50 years, okay? 3 twice a day. And then that's very important for her. HGH, it comes a big bottle of the red label, so she needs to take 2 bottles a month, so I can take 5 twice a day of the HGH. I take that now and I don't have any problems. Then I also want her to take our de-stress capsules. De-stress capsules, take 3 of those twice a day, it's 2 bottles a month. And then I want her to have our Fucoid Z. Okay, she can take 3 of those twice a day. And that's the capsules. And then call us every week and let us know what's going on. Now, give me 90 days on that program. But her doctors are going to freak out because the odds are
surgery again.
Yeah, they want to do surgery, right? Because they have kids in college and tuition is due, so they need the money. Okay, and so give me 90 days, and the odds are this is going to show miraculous improvement or even total resolution. Okay, I deal with these kind of things all the time, and so this is something that she really needs to share her testimony, whether whether nothing's happening or a little bit's happening or a lot's happening. Okay, she needs to call us every week and let us know so I can tweak things and so I can know how to make it good. Okay, but give me 90 days before she even remotely considers surgery again, because it's going to be a failure just like the first surgery.
Okay.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you, Dr. Wallach.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Amy. And we've got, don't forget to put your questions in the chat box. We're going to get to everybody that we can. John has emailed in, 6'2", 180 pounds, from Perth, 55, sore knees and ankles when he gets out of bed in the mornings. What should he be doing, Dr. Wallach?
Okay, and he's 55 years old. Well, he's probably got arthritis and osteoporosis and all that kind of stuff, and who knows what else. And he weighs 180 pounds. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, so I want him to get rid of all the bad foods: no fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat granules, no sugar. I say it every time because it's so important. You must get rid of those bad foods so you can absorb the nutrition you're taking. And then at 180 pounds, I want him to have 2 of the healthy brain and heart packs per month, a full dose of everything twice a day. And then I want him to have the MSM. I want him to take, but he's a big guy, so I want him to have 3 of the MSM, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That'll be 2 bottles a month of the MSM. They will help him rebuild cartilage, ligaments, tendons, connective tissue, disc between the vertebrae, bone, makes your bone cell. And doctors will say, you can't regrow cartilage, we need to do knee surgery. Well, say, doctor, I apologize, but I have other information here. I'll come back in 90 days and, you examine me and see what you think then. Okay. And then I want him to have the vitamin D3, 3 of those twice a day. That's 2 bottles a month. And then I also want him to have the glucogel, take 5 of those twice a day. That's 2 bottles a month to help rebuild again the cartilage, ligaments, tendons, connective tissue, disc between the vertebrae, bone matrix. And then lastly, I wanted him to have the Fucoid Z capsules. You take 3 of those twice a day, get that seaweed. Okay. And take 3 of those twice a day. That's 2 bottles a month. And then, call us every week. He'll be a great testimony. His testimony will help a lot of people and prevent them from doing unnecessary surgery right now, especially with this coronavirus, saying you don't want to be going to a hospital where everybody in there is sick. All the doctors are sick. The nurses are sick. The patients in the waiting room are sick. The emergency room, everybody's sick. So you don't want to be going there. And so give it 90 days here, John. You'll be amazed.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wallach. Just with the glucogel there, Dr. Wallach, is there a product that can be interchangeable when they do have the bone and joint issues, or is that an absolute necessary? A few customers have asked me, well, if I'm taking the Pro Joint Effects and the Healthy Body Start Pack, do I need to?
Okay, well, if they're taking Pro Joint Effects, they don't need to take the glucogel.
Right.
I take both myself, but you don't need to take both. But if you're taking Pro Joint Effects, you don't need to take the glucogel. Now, also, I was going to say that I've dealt with so many professional Olympic athletes for these issues. I've dealt with so many big political figures that were scheduled to have double knee replacements. Okay. And, in 90 days, I had rebuilt them, and medical doctors, you ask them, is there anything I can do to take to rebuild that? No, we got to give you an artificial knee or an artificial hip or an artificial shoulder. No, we got to take your disc out and put some iron in between your vertebrae. That's nonsense. Your body has the capacity to rebuild itself. I even take people with rheumatoid arthritis, RA, rheumatoid arthritis. It's supposed to be an autoimmune disease. Your body's killing itself. It's really just nutritional deficiency arthritis with a secondary infection with a bug called mycoplasma. That mycoplasma is killable with an antibiotic called minocycline, like the bait fish, minocycline. And so have the doctor give you say a 90-day, 6 to 8 weeks, 90-day supply of the minocycline. It's a prescription drug. It's an antibiotic. And then take the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, take the MSM or the Pro Joint FX and the vitamin D3. And within 90 days, you won't have rheumatoid arthritis anymore. I do this all the time. Okay. It's just not an autoimmune disease, but doctors said that 200 years ago, and they just haven't changed, even though the data is so overwhelming that it's not an autoimmune disease. It's just a simple infection with a bug called mycoplasma. At the same time, you have a nutritional deficiency arthritis. That's why my book, Epigenetics and the CD's Epigenetics, I'm one of the fathers, along with Bruce Lipton, of the science of epigenetics, which has replaced genetics. There are no genetic diseases. There's no autoimmune diseases, lupus, fibromyalgia, rheumatoid arthritis. None of those are your body attacking itself. They have nothing to do with autoimmune. Doctors didn't know what it was, so they just blamed it on you, so they didn't have to say, I don't know.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wallach. Now we're going to go to a question. Trish, we're going to go to Trish. Let us know where you're from, Trish, as well. And I am getting emails for questions as well. The best thing is to have your question in the chat box, so I know you're on the call too, because Dr. Wallach always, as you can see, can ask extra questions, and I can only go off what you've emailed me if that's an email that you sent me through. Trish, go ahead. And
Dr. Wallach, hi. Thank you so much for taking my query. I've got a little 7-year-old little boy I'm trying to help who's 7 years of age. He's 22. No, he's what, 48 pounds. and he's got an overstretched, flaccid colon, and he gets continuing constipation. And the only way there's any relief.
Sure. Colon. Yeah. Does he have any skin problems? Any eczema or dry skin or acne or anything like that?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Does he have any asthma or bronchitis?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, he's got a gluten problem. Everybody in the household's got to eat like an Asian. This is a gluten problem, okay? And the kids get constipation, they get diarrhea, they get skin issues because they can't absorb nutrients that are necessary for skin health. They get asthma, which is due to a nutritional deficiency, very common when you have gluten in your diet. Now, I was the one to first find the first non-human case of cystic fibrosis, supposed to be a genetic disease in kids. The respiratory thing, a kind of asthma-like thing, would kill them, but they had things going on with their pancreases and their livers and so forth. To make a long story short, Dr. Milan and I did 1,700 autopsies on kids in Qishan, China. 200 of them would have been diagnosed with let's see, 200 would have been diagnosed with the sudden death syndrome. 35% would have been diagnosed with the cystic fibrosis, and 100% would have been diagnosed with muscular dystrophy. So, at any rate, to make a long story short, we solved the problem by putting this nutrient into the baby formulas, and we eliminated cystic fibrosis, muscular dystrophy, and sudden death syndrome. But kids still have asthma because asthma is a different nutrient of deficiency, again, caused by gluten problem. But that's what used to kill those kids when they had cystic fibrosis, because they had liver problems and pancreas problems and lung problems. The lung problem was what killed them. Okay. And so you have to get this boy off of all bad foods, no fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no gluten, no wheat flour, no sugar. And 48 pounds, I'd have him take, excuse me, one healthy brain and heart pack for 2 months. He can take a half a dose a day, so that one pack will last him 2 months. A half a dose a day, and then divide it into half, so he's taking a quarter of a dose twice a day of the healthy brain and heart pack. Then I also want him to have the vitamin D3. He could take 6 of those a day, 2 with each meal. Okay, little bitty capsules. And I also want him to have our Pro Joint FX. They're capsules, and you can open up, and he can have 2 of those twice a day, open them up, or if he doesn't want to take them, kids like to take those kind of things, show their adults. And he also, let's see here, he needs to take the Fucoid Z or the Z radical, which is a liquid. He can take the Z radical liquid, which has a seaweed in it, and take a teaspoon of that twice a day. If he wants the capsules, he could take 2 of those capsules twice a day of the Fucoid Z. Okay. And then call us every couple of weeks. This is going to go away very quickly. But if you don't do the diet thing, nothing's going to work. But the fact that he's got constipation, he's got colon problems, this is the beginning of some serious stuff, because he'll wind up getting asthma, and he'll wind up getting high blood pressure, and he'll wind up getting diabetes. So, and he could get this sudden heart death that killed those 1,700 autopsies kids that we did in China. Okay. These kids, they die of that heart attack. It's called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy heart disease. And it's just tragic that, people don't realize, and doctors don't realize it. They have no earthly idea. I published it in 3 languages in medical journals, and yet they don't pay attention to it.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. And what would be the value in taking the Pro Joint? Okay,
the Pro Joint, it has the MSM in it, plus other things. It has the glucogel and collagen and stuff like that in there. And so the Pro Joint is going to help his bones, which is going to be afflicted and affected here very quickly, but also the connective tissue in the walls of the colon. There's muscle and connective tissue in the walls of the colon. And if they're dying because they can't get these raw materials, because the villi and the intestines are dead, because he's eating pancakes for breakfast and spaghetti for dinner and pizza 3 days a week, you understand? You got to get rid of all that gluten.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Okay. Okay. You bet.
Thanks, Trish.
Thank you.
And we always like to end the call on a positive story. If you do have a positive story with your Youngevity products and Dr. Wallach protocol, please let us know in the chat box so we can finish the call on that. And we've got time probably for a couple more. Julian is 35. He's a boxer, 6'1". He says he's quite healthy. He hasn't put his weight in there, but I'm assuming he's not overweight if he's a professional
boxer. Yeah.
He wants to know what the best protocol would be. What should he be taking? And if you could share a bit about the Evander Holyfield the world champion boxer that you've worked with there, Dr. Wallach.
Yeah, well, I helped two people get championships, Virgil Akins in the welterweight division, and then also Evander Holyfield. Virgil Akins was kind of a club fighter. You know, he belonged to these sports clubs and they would have fights and things, and he could do okay there, but he never quite had the power or the speed or whatever it was to win the championship. Well, in 1958, I was in his corner. I was only 18 years old, but I've been using the vitamins and minerals for 9 years. And so I was kind of one of his helpers. I'm giving him all these vitamins and minerals, and he was working his way up, and he knocked the champion out. He was a Hispanic guy from Mexico, and he knocked this guy out and got the championship of the welterweight. Evander Holyfield, famous heavyweight champion for many years, and he lost his championship to Michael Moore, I think in the 1990s, 1995, something like that, because he had a heart attack in the last round, and so they stopped the fight. He lost the championship. That's when I came up with a healthy brain and heart pack, okay, for Evander Holyfield. Gave it to him 3 times a day for a year and a half. He came back and he beat Iron Mike Tyson in the heavyweight championship fight to get his championship back. Now, who comes back from a near-death heart attack and wins a heavyweight championship? Okay, and so we're very proud of Evander Holyfield. We're very proud of Virgil Akins. I deal a lot with boxers, basketball players. Theo Ratliff, very famous basketball player. He was 24 years old. He had a fracture of his shooting arm wrist. He had the cartilage in his knees and his hip just slide off, and they took his contract away from him, the Atlanta Hawks. And to make a long story short, we invented the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack for him, and also we invented the Rebounder Sports Drink for him. It's his picture. It's Theo Ratliff's picture on there. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. That's his picture. I apologize, it's shining. That's his picture. And we made that for him. And in 90 days, he got his contract back. And in 11 years, he played 11 years more. He made over $100 million. Okay, and I didn't ask him for 10% as a coach or anything like that, or a trainer. You know, he kept the whole $100 million. So at any rate, I have a lot of experience with athletes. So we need to know this guy's weight, but he needs, per 100 pounds of body weight, 1 healthy brain and heart pack per month. I want him also to get another bottle of selenium, because he needs at least 2 bottles of our selenium, okay, per month. So he can take 3 twice a day. 1 bottle of selenium comes with the healthy brain and heart pack. And it's not only the selenium, there's 5 cofactors in there, which are very, very important for athletes. And then he also needs the Pro Joint FX, 3 of those 3 times a day, or the MSM, 3 of those 3 times a day, whichever one you can get in Australia. Some places you can't get the MSM. I think Canada is the one that can't get the MSM. You get both, right? You can get both.
We can get the MSM now. I just ordered some for my dad, and we can get the Joint FX, yes.
Okay, yeah, so you could take 3 Pro Joint FX and 6 MSM, 3 MSM at breakfast, at dinner, and say 3 of the Pro Joint FX in the middle of the day. He also needs vitamin D3, 3 of those twice a day, so he can get the minerals into his bones. He also needs I'd go ahead with the glucogel for his joints and his fingers and wrists and shoulders and neck and back and hips and legs and knees and so on. And don't forget, no soft drinks, no big glasses of juice, which are just sugar. He needs the Rebound. It has 100 nutrients in it, 75 which are minerals. And don't forget the Fucoid Z, 3 of those twice a day. If he prefers the liquid Z Radical, it'd be 1 ounce twice a day. I take the liquid on the weekends. I take the capsules during the week. I only weigh 142.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wallach. And for new listeners, if you're thinking, oh, these are a lot of things to take. Now, the reason why we supplement is because the nutrition is no longer in the food. If all that nutrition was in the food, we wouldn't be doing this call, but it's not. So that's the biggest thing for the takeaway when you're first listening to these Dr. Wallach things, because a lot of people say, oh, I get everything in my food. Well, it's not in the food.
Well, doctors will tell them that, Jamel.
Yeah.
Doctors will say that. Just eat, don't waste your money on those vitamins, minerals. You know, you just eat well, you get everything you need. Now, that would be like a mechanic telling you, you have your favorite car. I mean, this is a luxury car, you know, Jaguar or something like that, or Mercedes. And you say, what's the best oil to put in my car? And the mechanic will say, don't waste your money on any oil. It's $3 a quart. Just get, where's the oil place in Australia?
Oh, let's just say Bass Strait. It's between the mainland and Tasmania.
Okay.
In the ocean.
Let's say, okay. Let's just get some dirt, okay, from wherever you get oil. It's got to be land-based, obviously. So to where you get the oil from a dirt place where there's dirt, and there's bound to be some oil in that dirt. Or like in Texas, you just get dirt from Texas, there's bound to be some oil in there. It only costs you 10 cents a quart. Well, a crazy person will run away screaming because they know you're going to burn your engine up. You can't put dirt from Texas in your car instead of oil. But when a doctor says, oh, just eat well, you get everything you need. My doctor says I can get everything I need by just eating well. Bam, you're dead.
And also, when you're getting these products, it's so true. When you're a distributor and you get the car bonus level, and if you don't know what that is, and you are a distributor, talk to your upline, because once you get to your car bonus level, you're earning extra money and getting all these supplements for free. And it's a business that just can keep going and going and going. So use this call as a tool for your business as well, if you're a distributor. And if you're just a customer, you can come and listen in whenever you like. I've got a couple more minutes to go. Just want to quickly mention some good
testimonies.
Yeah, Trish has said she's had a bad knee recovery story. Trish, go ahead. And then we're going to go to Amy. She's got another good story. And then I think that's about the end of it. Go ahead, Trish.
So I have a friend who's nearly 80, Dr. Wallach, and he has been resisting for years spending, you know, any kind of money on his bone and joint issues, raging osteoporosis. He's had a back surgery. He's had a knee replacement. And then finally a friend offered to pay for his Youngevity products because the other knee was going as well. So, you know, we purchased a bone and joint pack, and I tell you what, and then also the Pro Joint, and I tell you what, he is utterly thrilled, because that knee was also crooked. He's now got no pain. He's now just blown away. And he said, also, I've got no more aching in my shoulders. And I've told him all along that the osteoporosis will be everywhere. Receding gums, the whole bit. So he now is as thrilled as punch, because he has no pain in the knee, and it's also straightened up.
His whole body. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you so much. You're an angel of God. Thank you for sharing.
So, well, you're an angel too.
Amy, go ahead.
Well, I shared in the
there
chat.
She is.
Yes, I shared in the chat that I gave up 2 weeks of gluten, no more gluten for 2 weeks, and my face has cleared up. But that's just the tip, because my face used to be purple black from just super acne, and because I did the detox, next month I'm going to be 6 years free of epilepsy as well. So thank you, Dr. Wallach. And I'm just so eternally grateful for you. And I'm just keeping on doing everything you say so that I can just be at my optimum.
Well, thank you, Amy. All I ask is you keep sharing your story with everybody, okay?
Yes.
You're an angel of God. Yes. We love you. Thank you, dear.
Love you too. Love you too.
Thank you so much, Amy. That is awesome information. Just one more question. We have an email. Michelle from Perth. She said she's had a great result after the Healthy Body Start Pack and off the bad food for 90 days. She just wants to know, besides the Healthy Body Start Pack and off the bad foods, what can she eat and supplement with to improve her memory?
Okay, she needs to eat 3 eggs twice a day with soft yolks. She needs Memory FX. She can take 3 of those twice a day. She needs the de-stress capsules, take 3 of those twice a day. I also want her to have the Ultimate Daily Classic tablets, 3 of those twice a day, because a lot of times people have blocked arteries in their brain and they won't get quite enough oxygen into the brain. So that will help there. And let's go there. Make sure instead of drinking soft drinks, carbonated drinks, colas and that kind of stuff, and juices, drink the Rebound with 100 nutrients in it. Just don't drink it after 3 o'clock in the afternoon because you'll be up all night.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wallach. This has been week number 31. Next week's going to be another big week as well. So remember, everybody is welcome on these calls. They are uploaded to the New Zealand Facebook official page. I do not include my distributor information on that. So that means that you can download that, share it, play it at a presentation. If you're a customer, use it for yourself. If you're a distributor, you can use these recordings to share to people and grow your business. And I put the minutes of the Q&A and the lecture in the comments. So you can go back to the archives and find the bit where you were talking or your associate was, or the condition that you're looking for. And you can find those and play them to whoever you like and share them as well. I want to say a big thank you again to Dr. Wallach. This has been something that I never would have thought we would have done 30 weeks. I remember during COVID, I just want to share a little story before we go. One of my uplines, Ted Anderson, I got Ted on the phone and I said, man, is there any chance, and Tom Chenault, another upline of mine, I said, any chance we can get Dr. Wallach for an Australian call? And Ted said to me, well, why don't you see if you can make it happen? And the rest is history. And this call is for everybody. Everybody's welcome for these calls. Doesn't matter where you are. Thank you, everybody, for participating as well. I want to say thank you again. And until next week. Now, the reason why we're 1 hour earlier, because we have daylight savings and the US have daylight savings. So shortly, the Australian time for daylight savings is going to change, but Dr. Wallach's time in California is always going to be 7 p.m. So that's why some of the Australians were a bit confused with the time change. So it's always 7 p.m. on the Friday, California time. I want to say thank you to everybody. Dr. Wallach, I'll see you next week. And everybody can say goodbye and thank you very much, Dr. Wallach. Thank you very much.
Lieutenant Colonel Wallach, over and out. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you, everybody. Love you, ladies. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
Bye-bye.
Wallach.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Jamel.
G'day, I'm Jamel Boukabou with Dr. Joel Wallach, who's been nominated for Nobel Prize for Medicine, has a book in the Smithsonian, and was awarded at the United Nations. Doc, your life's work, you are the naturopathic doctor, you're travelling around the world. What can we expect?
Well, what I'm going to do is teach people how to prevent as many as 900 different diseases, how to reverse as many as 900 different diseases, and by saving themselves and saving their families, will save the world.
Wow. And I'm an independent distributor, he's a doctor. So my job is to get that information out to you and refer to the best doctor, I think, on the planet, Dr. Joel Wallach. Get in touch with us now and we'll show you how. And you can create a great income too for your friends and your family, and you can really get some people healthy. Thank you.